Hey Buzz, did you see my new ride? Isn't that sweet? It's my new vehicle, recreational vehicle. Just got it. And that too will be something else I will be doing this weekend. You like it, Buzz? Pretty cute, hot, eh? Pretty awesome. Alright, let's go out to the garden. So back out here in the garden again. It's the May long weekend. It's going to be beautiful all day today and all day tomorrow. So I am back out here. Last weekend I was going to plant my peas. So I had them soaking in water. And then I didn't end up planting them, so I drained the peas back off, let them dry back out, and now I'm re-soaking them again. So we're going to plant these peas. I'm going to be spacing them out 1 to 2 inches, and it is recommended for me not to thin them. So let's start planting. These peas are sugar snap pole peas. I like the sugar snap better than your traditional peas that you pick and you shell. I don't want to be shelling my peas. I actually like eating the whole pea pod and all. So I prefer this type of pea. It's a pole pea as well. So it is going to climb up this support that we have put up. Jamie ended up helping me put this up. He is doing some irrigation work or landscaping. I'm not exactly sure if he's starting up an irrigation system or if he's just doing some landscaping for somebody. Maybe it's a repair. I'm not sure. But before he left, he helped me put this support back up, and then I put on the zap straps. I had a comment from when I was preparing my beds last weekend. It was actually from my sister, and she lives in Saskatchewan, and she asked, when I'm putting my T-posts in, how far do I pound them in, and how long were my T-posts? These T-posts here are 6-foot T-posts, and I figure I probably pound them in about 2 feet. And then that gives me ample room to be able to attach these panels onto them. And another thing that I do is I probably only space them out in between. This is a 4-foot wide panel and it's 16 feet long. So I have to space these T-posts in. So I go about anywhere from 6 to 8 inches in so that I have something to attach the support onto the T-post. And I just, for the ties, I just use zap straps on them. On the other side of this bed, I have my rows already made up. So I've already dug this up and I took my hoe and I made my rows, and I already have my markers in them. So I'm just going to carry on. Next is going to be my spinach. All of these vegetable varieties that I am starting, these are all cold climate varieties. And because I know that my last frost date is around June the 2nd, we are about 3 weeks away from that date. So starting these are not going to affect these seeds at all. They like the cool weather. I won't be starting my beans or any of my I won't be putting any of my plants out here. No tomatoes. I don't start my zucchini, squash, or any of my other squashes. Any tender, frost tender vegetables, I will not be starting any of those. A lot of those, I'm starting the seeds inside, and then that way they'll have, the plants will be a little bit established, and then I'll just plant them right in the ground when it's the right time. So this is the Avon hybrid spinach. I planted this last year and it actually was really a really nice spinach. So I am spacing these seeds out 1 inch, and then later I will thin the plant out itself and spacing the plants out to 4 inches. So I will just do a seed every 1 inch. And I'm doing 2 kinds of spinach. I have the Avon hybrid, and then I also have it's the Bloomsdale spinach. We really enjoy the spinach. We use it in a variety of ways. We'll use it for sandwiches, make salads. I also use it in stir fries. I use it in pasta dishes. My pigs really like it. My chickens really like it. So it definitely gets a good variety of uses. And then I'll just, once the plants get going, then I'll pluck out the excess and have them spaced out to 4 inches. So I'm just going to plant my Bloomsdale spinach now too. I'm hoping my Bloomsdale spinach will do better than it did last year. It just got going and then it seemed to bolt quite quickly. So, but we had it was like in the 40 Celsius. So it was pretty hot last June here. It was like smoking hot actually. Okay, so that's it for those. And I'm just going to grab my hoe. I laid it beside one of my beds and I couldn't see it because it wasn't standing up. So I'm just going to cover these peas. Not sure what's going on down there. Seems to be a lot of talking going on with these pigs. We just have now the 4 sisters because we dispatched the mama pig a couple of weeks ago, and we've actually had, I made a pork roast last Sunday and it was really good. So that is awesome. We got quite a bit of meat. My son and shared that pig with us, so he got half and we got half, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. Okay, next I have a row down here at the end, and I am going to be planting some Chinese Toy Choi. I planted this there's a mouthful, Chinese Toy Choi. I planted this last year and it did really good. I've only got a few seeds left, so I'm gonna have to try and find another pack of this because we really liked it. It's like kind of like a baby bok choy, and again I will use that in stir fries. But yeah, that's it for my seeds. I have just enough for one little row. Oh, I found a marker, my little gem lettuce marker. Found that on the ground. Okay, so let's cover this up now too. And this here, it only takes, the Chinese Toy Choi only takes 35 days. So it's really quick, kind of like a radish. Radish is actually around 23, 25 days, and this one here is 35 days. So it has the best growings in the cooler weather as well. Now these spinach, it takes 43 days to mature. That's for the Avon spinach. And then this spinach here takes 42 days to mature as well. And my peas, 70 days to mature. I want to show you what these crazy, look at what they do. So I filled up that water bucket and she dumped it on all over the ground so that she could lay in it. I think that's Hans. She's the biggest out of the 4 sisters. And then this one is Cow. She is the next biggest, and we call her Cow because she has black with a few white spots on her. And then I'm not sure where the other 2 are. Then there's Pygwot and Piglet, the 2 smallest ones. I have my Bright Lights Swiss Chard, and I'm going to be planting this under so that when my beans grow up on this side, it's going to provide some shade over my Swiss Chard, and then it won't have a tendency to bolt. I didn't have a problem with this at all last year. I planted this and it wasn't a variety that really, it didn't bolt. So I'm spacing these out, these seeds out to about 3 inches. And then what will happen is once they start growing, I'm going to space the plants out anywhere from 6 to 8 inches apart. This is such a noisy road sometimes. That's probably the one thing that I don't like about this property, is that we're a little too close to the road and it is really noisy. So I've got my Swiss Chard is planted. On the other side I will be doing my Purple Haze carrots and my Solar Yellow carrots. For this Swiss Chard, it takes 58 to 64 days to mature, so it's going to be a couple of months before this one is mature enough to start picking. Another empty pack in my pocket. The only time I wear these gloves is when I'm actually using like my hoe, or I'm raking, or I'm digging with my pitchfork. I actually don't like using gloves on my hands, not when I'm planting, because it's so easy to put more seeds in than what you need to have in here. Okay, so these are my Purple Haze carrots, and I may not even get a full row, so I think I'll plant this middle section. And carrots, it's so easy to plant carrots really thick, so I'm really trying not to plant that too thick. And so I just got enough to, I got a 4-foot row, so I'm going to move this tag to here where I ended, and then I'll fill this back in and I'll just plant something else in front of it, maybe some kind of a herb or something like that. And I didn't go all the way to the end because I just didn't have enough seeds, so I can plant something else in the back on that side. So that's my Purple Haze, and I just wanted to use up these seeds. I actually have, there's an Atomic Red. That's a new type of carrot that I bought, and I'm going to be planting those this year and trying those out as well. I also got a new beet, and it's the bull's blood beet. I forgot that I had bought a new beet seed. So, oh, we got a pine cone in here. All right, let's plant these. I'm gonna probably just start with a 4-foot row again because I don't really have a lot of seeds left. And that's good because I wanted to use them up. I'm not gonna waste them and throw them out. I will use them up. I just, I prefer the other carrots. I like the scarlet carrots, and I also like the Danver half-longs and the scarlet nantes, that's what it's called. So I'm not going to use up a whole row. I was going to go right from the front all the way to the back, but because I didn't have enough carrots, I'm just going to fill that in, and that'll let me know that I can plant something on the back on this side, maybe some lettuce. I have a couple of different varieties of lettuce I want to plant, and then we'll, oh, I got a couple of carrot seeds that is stuck in the bottom of this pack. I want to plant all of them. Okay, that's it for those carrots. I'm just going to grab some of the lettuce seeds that I wanted to put in. I think I'll put a row of lettuce in the back here. I'm just going to grab my hoe. I think I'll do 2 rows actually. Last year I crammed so much stuff into these beds. It was a little too much, but at least now I've planted this stuff and I know how big it's going to get and I know how much space it's going to take up. Because I also have to think about, I'm going to be planting my pole beans on this side. So I've planted the carrots kind of close to the pole beans, but they're going to be climbing up my supports, my vertical supports. So it's not like they're going to be laying on my carrots, and my carrots won't be interrupting my pole beans either. Okay, I have a summertime crisp head lettuce. We don't have very many seeds left, so this is perfect. Planting this in this row. It's probably only about a 3.5-foot row on this side. So one of the sisters just ran away. Who knows what she's up to. Okay, so that's my summertime crisp, and this matures in 70 days. And then I have a new variety, and it's the Marvel 4 Seasons. And I've heard a lot of good things about this one, so I wanted to try it out. I like different kinds of lettuce. I like to make a lot of salads. I like to put lettuce in my sandwiches. So I like a good variety of lettuce. And this lettuce here only takes 50 days to mature, and it takes about a week to 14 days to sprout. I want to space my plants out to 8 inches apart, and I have to read what it said about this one. And these are the summertime crisp head. I'm spacing those out 8 to 12 inches apart because they need room to form the head. Oh my gosh, we are having some fun back here. These pigs are just running back and forth. So I'm gonna grab my hoe and I will cover in all these seeds. Once I'm done planting everything, then I'll come and give it all a good watering. So I'm going to cover up my Swiss chard. I'm not going to cover it up too much. And then I'll cover up my lettuce. And those seeds are so small that you don't have to cover it up very much at all. And then the same with my carrots. I think what I didn't like about the purple haze wasn't so much that they taste good. I just didn't like that when I cooked with them, it turned the water gray. So I didn't like that about it. So in this middle bed, I am going to be growing 3 kinds of beets, and then I'm going to do a row of some romaine lettuce. The first beet that I'm doing is a cylinder beet, and you want to have your seeds spaced out 1 inch apart, and then once they get established, then you're going to space out those plants and give them 2 to 3 inches in between. And a lot of times I'll take out, I'll let them get established, and I will take out the little baby greens out of that, and you can use those baby greens in a salad. My neighbor ended up showing up here we store his trailers in our yard, and in return, we store them in the wintertime, and in return he plows our driveway for us in the wintertime. So he showed up, and I was in the middle of doing a video, and there's no way you would have been able to hear what I was saying, because with his truck going and backing up and going forward and backing up and getting this trailer hooked on. So I ended up planting all my beets and my lettuce in this row. And so in this first row, I did the cylinder beets. In the next row, I did the bull's blood beets, and that's the new one that I just purchased this year that I've never done before. In the next row, I did a red ace beets. Now I only had so many seeds left in the pack, so I did half of the row up to about half of the bed, and then the rest I did in a red ace beet, which I have planted that one last year as well. And then I planted my romaine lettuce in the last row here in the 4th row. So I'm just going to take my hoe and I'll cover these seeds up. So with the beet seeds, I don't know if you've ever noticed, they're kind of a bigger seed than your other seeds compared to a lettuce or a carrot seed. It's quite a bit bigger. And from what I understand, it's actually that little corm of a seed has actually about 4 or 5 seeds in that one little corm cluster. So I'm just covering up the bull's blood, and now the red ace, and in the back here is a golden beet. I like to have different types, trying different types of vegetables. That always interests me. And then in this last row is the lettuce. My sister had sent me a text. She's the one that lives in Saskatchewan, and she says, I can't even get in my garden, it's so wet. And then she showed me, sent me a picture of it snowing. So she said she's not going to be getting into her garden anytime soon. And here I am like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like 18 degrees today, 20 degrees tomorrow Celsius. So I'm definitely planting my garden. In this next bed over on this side, I'm going to be planting 2 kinds of kale. I'm doing the Toscano kale, the dinosaur kale, and I'm also doing the green curly leaf kale. So I am going to switch these around. I'm going to put the Toscano kale in the back, and I'll put my curly leaf kale in the front. And then on the up against this panel, I'm going to be planting my spaghetti squash, and I'll be starting the seeds in for that. With the Toscano kale, you want to be spacing your seeds out 2 inches apart, and then once they get established, then you'll space the plants out so that they are 12 to 18 inches. I don't have a lot of seeds here, so I might be growing more of the curly kale. And with the Butter Crunch lettuce, you are going to thin and space the plants 8 to 12 inches apart once they get established. Need a pine cone. We have these big pine trees, fir trees growing over us, so they're dropping pine cones all the time. Okay, and then I'm going to cover this lettuce. And then I'm going to go over everything with water to water everything. On this last bed over here, I will be growing my kohlrabi and my rutabagas. Over in here, it's just going to be a 4-foot row of rutabagas, and I'm just going to look seed spacing 2 inches, and then once they get established, you're going to space out the rutabagas 8 inches apart. So 2 inches to start, and then 8 inches after. And they're pretty small seeds. They're like a cabbage or broccoli or cauliflower. That's the type of how big the seeds are. And then I'm going to open up my kohlrabi. And these seed spacing, it says 1 inch, and then once they get established, then you're going to split it up to 4 inches per plant. And I'm doing just this small row here. There we go. That's it for... I still have my atomic red carrots that I want to plant, which I haven't figured out where I'm putting those yet. On this side of my panel support, I'm going to be growing butternut squash to go up this side. Last year it didn't really climb up my panel as much as the spaghetti squash did. So the spaghetti squash is going to be going on that side up against the panel and growing over it, and on this side is going to be the butternut squash. And those are all going to be seeds that I'm going to be starting in the house and getting them started, because I won't be planting those until after the first week in June. Oh, I covered up this and I need a tag in it. I wonder if I have any extra tags. Oh, I do. There's one over there. I'll grab it. Better put a tag here. I'm not going to know what the heck I planted here. Okay, so this is my kohlrabi. And so now that I've planted everything that needs to be planted, like I still have my atomic carrots that I need to plant, but I also have to, I'm planning on removing my strawberries out of that bed over there. and I'm going to be moving them over into the berry and fruit section on the other side of the house. I have a spot for them to go. I already have a row made up for them. But every morning I'm going to come out here and water all the raised beds that I've planted, just to give them a nice little drink. Today and tomorrow are supposed to be warm, so they're definitely going to need some water to get those seeds going. I'm so excited. It's finally growing season. And then I'll also be going inside and starting some more seeds. Just my melons and my squashes, cucumbers, starting all of that stuff. I want to give it a pretty good drink of water. Because these beds are pretty dry. I mean, we just had a rain yesterday. No, the day before yesterday. We had a pretty good rain, but when it's weather like this, it doesn't take long for it to dry out. Okay, I'm going to move over to this other one. This is where I planted my peas and my spinach. And I've got more stuff that I'm going to be growing in this first bed. It's just, it's too early to plant my beans. But I have some onion sets that I actually want to plant as well. I'm not going to be, I might plant a couple of rows, but I'm just going to be plunking them in here and there all over the place. Because with onions, they're a good pest deterrent too if you're planting those in amongst your plants. And then either today or tomorrow, I get to check out my new ride. I'm going to be mowing the lawn. I'm so excited to be using a Ride-em lawnmower. When we live on 1 1/4 acres, and there's a majority of it is lawn. And it's just going to be nice when I have to mow it by hand with the push lawnmower. Just to get everything done takes me almost 3 hours. Okay, I'm going to move over to my next two beds.